you've kind of described this to us a little bit based on
Mm-hmm.
how you work with actors, how you've worked with certain directors, how you've worked in opera, how you've worked in theater, but I kind of just want to know, how would you describe yourself as a designer?
Oof. Uh, that's a great question. Um, how would I describe myself as a designer? I am very, very, very character oriented. I mean, and that's true of production design. That's true of, and I did touch on that earlier. I'm super character driven and character oriented.
Mhm.
I think that um, I really like putting myself in other people's shoes. I love
Mhm.
empathizing with people, so I love being able to kind of think, "Oh, how would this person think?" Because there's all sorts of quirks and insecurities that we have in our mind that translate to different things on the outside. And sometimes it's a clear kind of trope, and sometimes it's very subtle, and you know, it's like you expect somebody to act one way if they have an insecurity, and they actually sometimes do the exact opposite. And when are you going to play that? And when are you going to not play or play into the trope or something like that? You know, it's,
Mhm.
I just love that sort of mental process of getting into that space and seeing, okay, so if I were dressing myself for the day as this person, what would make me feel like, you know, let's say they have a meeting in the story. What are they going to wear to the meeting? What does it say to them? What what does it mean for the other character, the character who's interviewing them, for instance? What do they see when they look at that character dressed like that, and how does that inform where the story goes from there? And what then does the audience as a character in a live production, but also in film and TV, you have to think about, okay, what is the audience going to perceive this as? They're seeing this narrative play out, but also, and I think about this a lot with period things in particular too. You make tweaks for a modern audience to understand what that period would think of as attractive, as, you
Hmm.
know, a sign of wealth, for instance, like things like that uh, a regular audience member who doesn't necessarily know much about the period, like what will they view in order to get the story across. So sometimes you make compromises in in what's the word the research, I guess. Like you make compromises in what's accurate to make something um make sense for the story. And it's
Mhm.
finding the balance. So yeah, I would say as a designer, I'm very 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 character oriented. I think I'm known for my sort of color and texture. I'm very color theory. I think that's coming from my days of being a fine artist, and like it's all color. And I just, yeah, I love telling color stories and doing color arcs for characters through a story. That's really fun. And yeah, I mean, my main thing is the thing that I want to be known as is just, it's how I want to be known as a person too. It's just kind and putting the story first. That's kind of where it boils down to for me.